should never have our heels on the ground anyway. There's not a single moment I can think of in parkour where your heel touches the ground.
Unless you're standing.
Then how often are you standing?
This is hard.
You can overpronate your foot and still strike on your midfoot or the ball of your foot. It's a little less worrisome at that point, but a lot of people do overpronate anyhow. Mike Leland is a big overpronator, especially when he runs, but he's a heel striker when he runs. Don't know why.
Heel striker.
But these three things are pretty much the exact same injury, or not the exact same injury, but the exact same risky behavior, if you will, just at different points. Hip, knee, and ankle.
Protected jumping.
So when it comes to the lower body, the issues that cause injuries tend to be the exact same. It's an inability to absorb impact properly or to use your muscles properly because something is off center. Is there anything after this? Oh, yay, the assessment. I'm going to pick some random people. Tim is going to be the first one.
Yay, Tim! Stand up and shake it off. I did.
So, it is a good thing to know how to watch for certain
wedgies.
In especially when you're coaching parkour, but also if you just watch other people, you become a little bit more mindful of the things that you should be doing yourself or you shouldn't be doing. Tim, I want you to squat. Body weight. I want everyone to watch his knees.
I don't know if I'm still doing it, but am I?
You're just wobbly.
I'm just wobbly.
Okay. You like
Actually, you know what it really shows up is when I jump.
yes. I was gonna make you do jump tucks. Yeah, after. Like now.
Like now? Okay, here goes.
And you can see his knees caving in as soon as he takes off.
A slow one.
I'm videoing it.
Actually, it's still
I can see it. I can see it.
Just reduce grabbing in this area.
Now his landing technique's pretty good. It's just his jump.
Keep jumping, Tim. Don't stop.
Okay.
Does everyone see it? We will cure you of this issue.
Worked on this over and over again. It didn't seem like it ever went away.
I really wish Devin were here because he's got this crazy external rotation of his hips. He walks around like this a lot, but he's not here.
We'll post this to YouTube so we can see it.
David, I want you to actually, you have to lunge like facing everyone. Okay.
Let us all see.
Silly walk.
Actually, your lunge has gotten a lot better.
Probably has to be done.
Ever since you broke your collarbone, your lunge is straight.
It seems like an excellent plan. Clearly, I can only get better from there, right? The lunge is also a corrective exercise if your knees are wobbling like that because it's forced to have to stabilize things. I like Bulgarian split squats best, but
You like what?
Bulgarian.
split squats.
How's that?
That's what they do in Bulgaria.
You elevate your legs on a block, and you just squat down as low as you can.
Okay.
Underweight, like that. God all for it. Shoulders. Most of the time, things will show up in a push-up. I wonder if I should. He has really bad shoulders.
I
have-
mine on this one right now.
I have pretty crappy
don't
shoulders,
count.
but
Because I'm pretty sure your shoulders are fine.
No, mine are kind of weird actually.
Too good.
Shit, push-up.
little bit of elbow flare.
Yeah,
but
something's happening with the elbows.
No, stop holding your breath.
hey,
That's it. Breathing's okay. Yeah, these are breathing push-ups.
Say stop anytime.
Is it?
now keep going. We're waiting for you to do something wrong.
4,700.
Push-up challenge.
That's right.
Sign him up.
$46.99. Just one short.
We'll stop you at 4,700.
See, I need to see him favor.
His elbows.
Is that what?
We're coming forward.
Yeah. Well, no, the one that's right left-handed.
Get up here, Catherine.
I'll be doing Shirley.
Sean saw the same thing I did.
Elbow flare? I saw elbow flare, but not.
Sean, what did you see? What did you see?
Towards like the last 5 or 6, there was kind of a favoring on the right.
That's I think it's because I do have pain right now in the left shoulder.
Yeah, you were coming up uneven. Like it was really, really slight, and it really only happened towards the end. But that was the most grievous thing that I saw. The elbows flaring. Elbows flaring is just a bad habit most of the time. It's because people are taught to push up that way, and they're not supposed to.
What do you mean by elbows flaring? Okay, I forgot.
Yeah, instead of like that.
I got you.
So
And obviously, like,
It's just more stressful to do.
I can't even do it, so. And scapular wall slides would be good.
This is something I have issues with.
Yeah.
Oh, hand up.
You like cry when you do this.
Yes, this hurts.
let's see.
Go up to there. Here, I'll do the. This is a mobility drill that we're going to be going through.
I don't want to. Oh my God, it already hurts.
Your butt should be in contact with the wall too.
It already hurts.
Slide down.
How I
Now, his wrists are actually supposed to be in contact with the wall. But
Yes, but I mean, it's actually, I'm in pain right from the get-go.
What's supposed to happen?
It should not hurt. That's what should happen.
But I mean, what's he
you
supposed
should
to be
also
doing?
look at the height of his fingers.
Let's see.
If you want to see a cripple, this is it.
And how much one shoulder is raised over the other. And his mobility coming down as well.
Look at his left hand.
Yeah.
And then I get like,
It's very scapular
So, now the funny thing is, and like 2 weeks ago,
And I'm done with that.
I had, in the Urban Fit-In show, a man and a woman who were married. I had both of them do scapular wall slides. And the girl's just like, okay. The guy, as soon as he goes up, is like, oh! And the guy's basically just laughing at himself, too, turning beet red. He's going, dude, I'm starting to sweat just from this. Most of the time, guys have shoulder issues. Most of the time, women don't.
What do they have issues with?
Well, women are more prone to ACL tears because of the Q angle between their hip and their knee. Goes this way. They have wider hips, and their legs are more narrow, so their knee compared to their hip is in a different position. I wish I had a diagram for this, but I didn't think I was going to be talking about it.
You could use a woman as a diagram.
Basically, their legs are already going inside, and this makes their ability to be active in lower body exercises and lower body sports a little bit more precarious because there is a much higher incidence of ACL tears in women. I've always thought it would be a neat topic to research in parkour. Fortunately, there's no research in parkour yet.
I suggest.
Injury incidents in women. Or just like biomechanics, like dropping down to a force plate and seeing if women take more impact than men relative to their body weight. So women should always be concentrating a lot more on trying to correct and strengthen areas around the knee just because of their heel angle. When you're assessing people, or when you're watching people do their techniques, pay attention to their knees mostly, because the knees will give everything away. You won't notice what it actually is, whether it's a foot problem, a knee problem, or a hip problem until they start walking around. But you'll know something's up as soon as we watch them land and their knees go one way or the other. I see some people land like this sometimes. I don't know how that works.
Brian does that. He did it a couple of times.
That's the most bizarre landing technique to me. And I honestly, I don't know how to correct it when both knees are going to one way or one direction. It seems really awkward. I see people do cat grabs like that too. Really weird.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that too.
On that note, cat grab is also a position where you can really tell when someone's shoulders are messed up, just because you're like seeing it from the back. Most of the time, guys don't have their shirts on, so maybe that's just something. But the shoulders are this level. Originally, I was going to have some pictures up too of staff members with minimal clothing.
We ran into some liability issues with that, though.
No one wanted to do it, so I was just like, yeah. But I wanted people to stand slouched. Because when you stand slouched and without a shirt on, with me in particular,
we can do it right now if you want to live now.
I don't know if I want to take my shirt off right now.
Johnny wants to.
Johnny wants everyone to see.
But if you pay attention, and I was going to do this in MS Paint and just draw a line, because it's easy to just tell when the line gets pixelated from being not straight.
Yeah.
But one of my shoulders will be higher than the other.
Am I right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is me slouched.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really tell your sleeves are different height.
So.
And it's not just a poorly made shirt.
And that's a good way to. That's a really good way to assess yourself, because you can't really like squat and watch your knees unless you do it on video. But take a few pictures of yourself, front, side, and back, slouched. Do not flex, because it changes things. And wear as little clothing as possible.
Then text it to all your friends.
Yeah, what did you do?
But you can really see a lot. If I don't know if I have any issues sideways, but you'll see some people who have their necks really far forward or really far back, and that's typically a shoulder issue as well, because certain things get tight here, and it starts messing with your neck. And if your neck's messed up, then obviously neck and the spine, you don't want to mess with that. Drills to improve mobility. The thoracic spine is your upper back. It is designed for flexion and extension, and rotation. So the roller extension is on the foam roller, and it's really just getting the roller up on your lower back. You want to demonstrate? You already have one. Not your lower back, your upper back.
Upper back.
Keep your hips on the ground. Put your, extend back and then flex up. And it kind of looks like you're doing a sit-up, but you're not. There's nothing in your abs.
Where's the roller supposed to hit you?
Oh, you move it up and down your upper back as you're doing it. You do it a few times in one spot, and you do it, and you do it a few times in a new spot. Normally when I do this, my back cracks like
A firecracker?
Like a
yeah,
like a cracky,
yeah.
like bubble wrap.
I'm going to use you guys for all of my analogies. I have some thoracic issues too. I'm just messed up. Most of us are messed up in this gym. 3-point extension rotation is something we do in urban fit a lot. You're in a 3-point stance, hand above hand on the back of your head. You're gonna tuck your elbow into your armpit and then extend up. What you're doing when you're doing these drills is just, Eric Cressy called it spinal flossing. I don't even know what that term means. But you want a solid range of motion to be able to twist, because there's a lot of twisty things that we do in parkour, and if you're not mobile enough, you will probably pull something in your lower back, most likely. A walking Spider-Man with the reach is just a forward lunge where you get low to the ground, and then you're rotating up and trying to open up your thoracic spine.
Kind of like a warrior pose.
In yoga.
Sure. Shoulder girdle. Shoulder dislocates, everyone should know. I hope. Grab a stick or the bands really hurt. Salil can attest to this. This is another thing he cried doing. But you're just rotating all the way back and forward. As stated, I have really bad shoulders. Most people can do it a lot better than that. Whippets.
Isn't?
So, most of the time...
I have an entirely different association
Johnny,
with that
come
term.
here. Because you're so much more mobile than I am. Okay. A whippet is bringing the band back, letting it stretch your chest out, and then moving forward. If you can't tell, like, flick the band like you did last time.
What do you mean?
When you're making fun of me. You see how loose this band is? This is really painful for me right now, and there's no tension. Because this is as far back as my arms will go. You do it?
I'm gonna wrap it. Make it tighter.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I like how you made your voice deeper because there's a camera on.
It's all we can sell.
It's because there's a camera on you, isn't it?
And that's like probably fairly normal mobility.
Yeah, I don't have great mobility. It's not average.
So Johnny's getting like 6 inches further back than I was. Because literally my arms can't open up more than this.
What about the form on that?
Oh yeah, you can do it at various, like, my mobility is even worse up here. You try to open up here, I just won't do it. Down here, everyone is a little bit more mobile. Most people down here can actually touch their hands together. Yeah, neither can I.
What? You're kidding.
Like, Catherine, right there.
Like Catherine had no problem whatsoever.
And it looks like Brian can as well, so.
Wait, which way do your hands have to be facing?
Yeah, actually, that's the important
It
part.
doesn't.
Oh, that's...
Like that.
Yeah, it's
Kind of that.
it doesn't happen.
But not like this. Not like this.
Make the claw hand again.
Scapular wall slide, we went over with Salil. This helps open up your external rotation, the scapular wall slide. There's one, oh, that's a stretch, never mind. And prone PNF diagonals. PNF stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation.
Cool.
Let's call PNF, thanks.
There are certain patterns, diagonal patterns in PNF stretch therapy that follow the, basically the angle of your striations in your muscles. Instead of stretching straight out, you're following the diagonal to improve your natural range of motion. So, the upper body diagonal is called sheathing the sword and putting on a safety belt. Or drawing the sword and putting on a safety belt. You're gonna stick your arm up, lay down. I think normally I'm twisted with my leg on a medicine ball, but we don't need to do that. Your arm is up, you're basically going to draw a sword and rotate out. You're mobilizing 3 different muscle groups. The rotator cuff, humeral rotation, and something else. But so basically it's actually only following 2 diagonals. This diagonal from your shoulder, and then the diagonal pattern of humeral rotation. That's a pretty straightforward drill. Hip drills. Kneeling hip flexor extension is, I don't want to do this on.
Do you want a mat? You need a mat.
But you just get into forward lunge position, ground your back leg, rock forward and back. And in mobility drills, you're never holding a stretch. You're just mobilizing. The reason, actually, it goes into the other slide. But yeah, just rock back and forth. And then, yeah. When you do it with the rotation, you're going to plant your back foot down. You're always stretching the hip flexors of the down knee. You're going to lean forward and then open up with the same P&F pattern, but it's going to open up your hip flexor this time as well. That makes sense. PVC good mornings. I mean, I could use stand view. Is a good morning is basically just bending over.
Good morning.
That sounds like a great morning to me. But
Good morning, soulmate.
That's how you wake up in prison.
you're gonna slack your knees a little, drop your hips back.
Good morning.
And you're honestly, and I'll say this a lot in the Urban class too, is you know you're doing this properly when you're bent over like you're taking it.
You can personally attest to this, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Then at the bottom you should feel a little bit of a hamstring stretch. You just move up.
I'm no longer referring to them as good mornings. Bad mornings.
Sad morning.
Walking Spider-Man with a hip
Shameful
lift is
morning.
the same as the reach, kind of. But this time you're just popping your hip up to open up, or to mobilize that hamstring. Which, I have tight hamstrings, so that kind of hurts. And lateral lunging is just basic. You go into the Kung Fu stretch and you just come back. There's only one. Everyone should know what. Okay, so we like to say that you never stretch before a workout, and that's very true. It makes you weaker. Well, it depends on what you're doing. If your workout is yoga, it really doesn't matter if you stretch or not beforehand because you're going to be stretching. Anyway, if your workout requires flexibility, obviously you should be stretching beforehand. But in strength and power activities, you don't tend to want to stretch because it makes you weaker for about an hour. That's why we mobilize. We mobilize not only to restore our mobility, but to activate and loosen up muscles without stretching them out to the point where they can't contract and be as strong or as powerful as we want them to be or need them to be. This said, static stretching is not something that has gone away. The reason my shoulders are so bad is because I don't static stretch. I should be doing it probably an hour every day, but it's really easy to forget to do. I used to do it very regularly, and I was healthy back then and didn't get hurt. So it's become a trend in the fitness industry lately, just because static stretching has been demonized quite a bit, and if you follow the fitness industry, you realize nobody likes static stretching anymore. It's stretching. But it never really, the purpose of doing it never went away. It's just people were wrong about when they should, or why you actually do it. In parkour, our glutes get really, really tight because we jump. Our hamstrings, same reason. The glutes and the hamstrings are the powerhouse in parkour. It is everything that makes you go. Whether you're sprinting, jumping, even a lot of your climbs, if you're doing your climbs properly, there should be a hip extension involved with it, which means your glutes have to fire. So if you don't stretch your glutes out, chances are you're going to pull your glute eventually. When I first started parkour and I was like terribly, terribly out of shape, I pulled my glute every single day I went out. Probably both of them. And then I'd just be walking around like, oh my God, my ass. Good morning. Oh, you guys missed that era of parkour. Parkour is very homoerotic. But it used to be a lot worse.
Morning training.
Show him the handshake.
Exactly.
We don't have any video.
But yeah, stretch your glutes out. Your hips tend to get tight. We actually use our hip flexors quite a bit because we're taught to tuck our legs with every jump. If I'm jumping over a puddle in the rain trying to get to the bar, I'll tuck my legs. It just becomes reflexive for us.
I really want to see you get to a bar in the rain now.
I'm just recalling some things. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, hips.
Hip flexors.
Hips.
So it's, in a lot of sports, you don't use your hip flexors as much. So the tight hip flexors, they get in the way because it prevents you from extending your hips as powerfully as you need to. But it's not going to make them necessarily any tighter. Whereas in parkour, if you don't pay attention to your hip flexors, they can get even tighter than they originally were. So it's good to stretch those out too. Shoulders and external rotation, we should stretch out just because if you don't have this range of motion, you probably can't do a muscle up. There's something called a sleeper stretch, which most guys and probably some women find agonizingly painful. Leo could do this with no problem somehow. You're laying on your side and your elbows up at an angle. You're pulling your arm in close to you and very, very slowly lowering your hand to the ground. If you do this too quickly, you'll tear something. And I can get to the ground, but it takes a really, really long time because it hurts.
Well, that's because this is also part elbow mobility too, right? Like there's shoulder and elbow
I'm not on
involved.
the ground yet. There.
Ta-da!
Now when you come up, you want to come up extremely slowly as well. You'll probably feel your shoulder blade sliding back into place. It's going to be gross. Was that a stretch for you at all?
A little bit.
If you do this properly... Oh, no.
You don't look
your arm
like
should be
you're-
like here.
You don't look like you're
What?
stretching at all.
Like pull your arm in. Like, you just don't really flexible.
Or is it like that? Because like
No, your arm's like up here.
like this.
Got
Yeah,
a
a little bit lower. Like,
They're doing this stretch, just push it.
yeah, there.
Yeah, get it over.
So should your shoulder blade kind of pop out in the back?
Yeah, your shoulder blade, if you do this properly, should be sticking out here.
Oh, okay.
Ouch. And what we're doing here is we're improving our internal rotation.
What if I'm paying into the brain?
Some people are just really flexible in this position.
Yeah. Put that on my resume.
As stated, I have bad shoulders. But yeah, when you come up, you're not going to notice the shoulder blade popping out. Maybe Tim did, but I really notice the shoulder blade movement when I'm coming back, and it's like going. Yeah, it's actually okay. It's a pretty gross feeling to have your shoulder blade slide back into you. PNF stretching.
It's getting pretty bad, actually.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Don't worry, we're almost done. PNF stretching is, this is going to be a little bit of technical jargon, but basically it's a way to trick your body into stretching further than it actually can. There's something in your muscle cells called the Golgi tendon organ. The Golgi tendon organ is responsible for inhibiting a muscle when it experiences quick or forceful activation. It inhibits it to protect the muscle from tearing. We use proprioceptive neuromuscular. We use PNF stretching. I'm going to try to say that again. To activate the GTO, the Golgi tendon organ, to inhibit the muscle that we're trying to stretch. By doing that, it allows us, because the muscle is now in a hyper-relaxed state, to move the limb into a further range of motion than what is actually possible under normal circumstances. And then we hold that position to try to basically reset the muscle at its new length. Very, very useful way to stretch someone out. Almost impossible to do on your own. It's basically what does someone want to stretch?
I'll do it.
Okay. You realize it's going to look a little homo.
Didn't slow him in the slightest.
It's a good morning.
So we're going to start by stretching you out.
Just get you a hamstring stretch because it's the easiest
I
one.
have really good hamstring flexibility.
That'll help. Okay, this is like your.
Yeah, this is the sticking point for me.
That's probably worse than me.
Just give him some compliments.
Okay. So what we do to activate the Golgi tendon organ is we're trying to stretch his hamstrings, so we want to activate it. So push against me. Do this for a few seconds, relax. And then it can move up here. Which is about, what, 2 more inches?
Yeah.
Up. Push again. Relax.
Wait till your ankle's around your neck, dude.
Hey guys, an important thing to notice, Andy's not really pushing too hard when he's relaxing.
He's just resisting.
Holding against the force of the stretch, and then when Johnny lets go of his hamstring, Andy's just going against gravity. He's not forcing the stretch.
Yeah. Whereas, like, you'll see a lot of coaches, especially in gymnastics, just to like.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. On a PNF, you don't need anything but gravity. So don't try to force it. Or
This is only one way to do PNF. There's another one where push. We do a slowed concentric.
Or I'm gonna switch my other one too because it's kind of.
Okay. Relax. And that'll open it up a little bit more. And there's one more that has an active engagement in the antagonist, which is the hip flexor, the very end. So push again. And then when you relax this time, you're gonna pull your leg up. Relax.
Oh, wow.
So by pulling his hip flexor up, you get an even greater stretch. And now his leg is up here, where before it was back here, right? Yeah, we'll do the other one too.
He's got more personality than his face.
This is where he started. Push. Relax. Push. Relax. Push. Relax. Push. Relax, pull up. This is pretty much the fastest way to stretch someone out and gain a lot of flexibility really, really, really quickly. The clients I tend to do that with seem to think it's magic. Because
It's so cool. It's like,
yeah, you'll see people who are like, I'm not flexible at all. And in 2 weeks, I can bend them over backwards. I gotta stop that.
Some roses.
In 2 weeks, several dinners, and
But it's an easy technique.
at least 3 beers every night.
There's nothing really dangerous about it. Just don't push. So just a few exercises. This is like the last little bit to help strengthen the shoulder up. Is we want to work the external rotation of the shoulder, just to counterbalance all of the muscle ups that we do. Sorry, assuming you can do muscle ups. This tends to help a lot. Internal rotation is the exact same thing. It'd just be like hanging up here. That doesn't really work. Yeah. But you know, you'd cinch it off somewhere. There's also internal and external rotation of the humerus would be this would be external rotation, and internal rotation would be pulling in. But it's always more important to work external rotation over internal rotation, just because we do a lot more pulling in,
Right.
internally rotating in both directions than we do
External. It's already strong internal rotation.
What?
Like most people already have strong internal rotation.
We just do it a lot.
You're right.
YTLWs are a very popular shoulder rehab and prehab protocol. You can be bent over, you can be leaned up against something like a bench on an incline. You can be holding, if you do this with weights, do it with very, very light weights. I would recommend like partials, 2.5 pounds to begin with. Go for like 8 reps. But the Y movement is this. You do this for a few reps. L's, like T's, are just straight out. L's are an external rotation. Although my mobility sucks. And then W's are opening up like this. Blackbirds are something that Joe DeFranco developed. This is another thing you do with really, really light weights. You can be pretty much laying flat against the bench. I'm just gonna bend over again. It's almost the same thing, except you're holding these weights and you're moving up and down for 30 seconds. And the next one is out here. The L movement, he has the athletes pressing back and forth, so it's like a scapular wall slide on nothing. It actually really, really hurts. And then the last one, your arms are behind and you're just wagging them down, which also really, really sucks under weight. But they're actually a very, very good way of making sure all those tiny little muscles are working properly. When you're doing shoulder rehab or when you're doing any rehab, the reps are a lot higher than what you're accustomed to. We're talking like 25 to 30 reps, 2 to 3 sets, right? Yeah. The reason is because, and actually, Nas put on my Facebook earlier today asking about why these strengthening exercises were in such a high rep range. He was talking about exercises for the neck, and the program was prescribing about 20 reps. And was under the mentality, and it is true, the rep range for strength is 3 to 5, but the intensity would be so high. Could you imagine how bad it would hurt to try to like externally rotate 30 pounds for 5?
Mm-hmm.
What? Oh wait, yeah, it's gaming for us. You can probably do 30 pounds.
I do 45.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
And Ryan's was saying, but on a great day, it's like 70.
Gymnasts don't count. But for me, in particular, once I got here, my arm would probably just drop. So you want to keep it in the high rep ranges. These are tiny little muscles.
Could you think of one as functional strength as opposed to maximal strength? Like the clinical definition of strength being that 3 to 5 range, but what we're trying to get for in here for parkour is a functional strength, a strength that lasts.
It's
that make sense?
well, maximal strength is functional too. It depends on what your definition of function is. But I would say the definition of strength is different when we're talking about rehab. Strength means able. Yeah. Able to keep the body in, proper working order. Show me extensions. This is probably one of my favorite knee exercises. You just set up with the band. By the way, if you have any joint issues whatsoever, just invest in these things. You're going to bend a knee and basically just extend. I would actually, this is really light, but if you get one of the heavier bands, it helps a lot. A lot of times, if you do this in your warm-up and you have knee issues, your knees will feel a lot better after. Okay, good, monster walks. So that thing I told you before that I called monster walks, they're not monster walks.
They look like
I gave two names, right? Monster walks and X-band walks. There are two different things in here.
Oh.
Okay, so this is an actual monster walk.
Oh.
It's gonna suck. You're walking backwards. So the way I looked, that's why it's called a monster walk.
It kind of looks like something something associated with the Good Morning, actually.
With the monster walk and the X-band walk, which I'll show you next.
Pants around your ankles. This is not a good morning. I'm backing away.
The X-band walk, you're stepping in, crossing the mid over, pulling it high, and just waddling around like this as well. Both of those are designed to strengthen the vastus medialis, which will help with Tim's issue of caving his knees in. The stronger that muscle gets, the more the knee is pulled back out. It also helps just to wrap a band around your knees and squat, so you actively think about pushing your knees out all the time. But some people push their knees out too much, so. And then there's a Peterson step. We're just going to use this. Peterson step is off of a relatively low elevation for a step up. And all you're really doing is drawing your foot back behind you. I think jogging does a different Peterson step.
I was taught to do it on my toe.
Oh. I don't know if it matters. It's probably, you should probably do both. They work different things, I imagine. But you're basically stepping out behind you, like that, and trying to keep your weight directly over your leg. I forget what that works.
That recruits your VMO.
Yeah.
What's the VMO?
That's the reality.
Oh, okay.
It also helps to work the muscle like right above the knee, the behind.
The patellar
Behind
tendon.
Quadratus lumborum. No, that was completely off. Quadratus lumborum is in a completely different part of the body. But yeah, there's two frontal quad muscles. It's the one that's behind. This is really. Weighted shin raises. These are fun to me. I'm gonna use this flop box. Originally, like when parkour started, we did a lot of body weight exercises and we thought that that would keep us safe. It didn't. A lot of people got hurt. But we did a lot of shin raises to prevent shin splints, and it can work just because it's out of rep range. I mean, when you're doing these small muscle groups, it's really about just kind of fatiguing the muscle to the point where it strengthens and can endure more. And that's the idea behind a lot of rehab, is that it can endure. But strength is also pretty important, as long as it's endurance strength. So this has always been a really fun way to do a shin raise, just by putting a dumbbell between your legs and raising it up. And you're going for the same rep range, but
What's the rep range again?
anywhere between 20 and 30. That will help to prevent shin splints. I haven't had shin splints in years. I don't know if it's because I got stronger or something else. But honestly, I think getting stronger helps to prevent shin splints. Well, obviously it does. But the other thing is, I haven't been to a gymnastics gym in about the same amount of time that I haven't had shin splints. So,
Hey, what are you knocking on gymnasts?
parkour on a gym floor.
Yeah, sprung floors. Yeah.
I think I've noticed that most people who train parkour on a gymnastics floor will start to get shin splints again, or their shins start to hurt like the day after they're on the floor. I don't know why that is, but I think it's because on a gym floor you can do Kong vaults with like an 18-foot exit distance. It doesn't matter if it's springy when you land, you're still landing from like flying 18 feet out. Alphabets are pretty basic. You're just going up and spelling the alphabet. It's very common physiotherapy protocol.
Sam
Foot flexion. It took me a second to remember what it was. This you would have to do barefoot. And basically, you take a towel or a piece of paper, or anything else, you put it on the ground, you put your foot on it, and you crumple it up with your toes. And you just do that over and over and over again. And what you're doing is you're working the muscles of your arch by flexing your foot. I have extremely flat feet. I should be doing these, and I don't. That's pretty much every fitness professional. We know what we should be doing, we don't ever do it.
Oh, you can tell.
Oh yeah, but that's a really important exercise to do, especially if your feet are flat. If you have a high arch to begin with, then you're probably sound. But if you've got low arches or flat feet, just start grabbing things with your feet as much as you can, because it will help raise that arch. If the arch is designed to interpret force coming in from the ground, it's a proprioceptive thing. There's a fascia, there's the plantar fascia, that sends a signal to your brain and says, look, I'm landing on something really hard. The rest of this body has to do something to take it. Plantar fasciitis is when that fascia tears. It happens in overpronation because when you overpronate, the arch gets flattened out even more by stretching the foot, and then eventually it tears. Overpronation can also start ending up with knee and hip issues as well. Yeah, and that's the close of it. Really, what it comes down to is there's a lot of things you can do to help prevent specific injuries if you're really worried and if you're if you know you have a weakness, then work the prehab before things get really bad. But if you're a healthy individual, a lot of this is good to know, kind of impractical to use because it's a waste of time. Or if you're a healthy individual and you start doing like knee rehab or prehab exercises and you start to your knees, you probably will end up with some kind of imbalance because you're healthy to begin with. But if you are healthy, just get really, really strong. Then nothing will ever harm you. If you aren't healthy, become healthy. Then get really, really strong. There's a lot of injuries, and I didn't go over specific injuries in this because there's a lot of them. There's not really a big point to doing that when, if you know what to look for, what to strengthen, and what to avoid doing in your training. If you do that, then you'll stay pretty injury free. There are 6 ligaments in the knee that are capable of tearing. Some are very rare tears, extremely rare tears, but they're in there. And they all tear for pretty much the same reason. Something in here is weak. You find out what it is by assessing yourself. You have issues with knee flexion. Does your knee track this way? Does your knee track this way? Is it going too far forward when you're squatting? If you assess yourself and you know what you're looking for, and when you find something, you know how to correct it, then knowing the specific injuries doesn't matter all that much, because you're going to end up pretty close to bulletproof anyhow. Of course, we can't account for accidents, and a lot of the times we can't account for the fact that we do something we absolutely love, and even when we know we shouldn't, we jump anyway. Which I'm sure all of us are guilty of doing, especially when alcohol is involved. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
Woo! Yeah.